Hello, I'm Melanie McCool. I am the founder of Program for Prosperity, and I'm the entrepreneur's hypnotherapist with more than 20 years of experience in leading entrepreneurs and business owners to success. I'm a leader of leaders and a certified master trainer of hypnosis, and it's great to have you join me today for this bonus training in my Zero Burnout Business Growth Workshop, where we will ask the question, could you be addicted to the grind? Now, wondering if your mind could be chemically dependent on stress might not be a new one for you. If you think that you work better under tight deadlines or that you really love the grind, if you've actually worn the badge of honor of, being a workaholic, you can know that stress is a stimulant, which has its own, reasons to feel addicted to it, but it's really terrible for you. It's like heart attack row terrible for you. Now, just as an addict craves more to satisfy their addiction, your tendency to be a workaholic, to bite off more than you can chew, well, it can quickly spiral out of control. And there's real reasons for you to reel this in long before it causes, well, that march down heart attack row. See, after time, your brain develops a kind of tolerance for stress hormones of cortisol and adrenaline so that you actually need more of it to feel that same rush, that stimulant effect. And so you may take on more, shiny projects than you can actually handle, saying yes to everything, or wait until you're totally under the gun to get anything done. I hear this word slammed so often. And truthfully, entrepreneurs seem to wear burnout as a badge of honor. Now, if you're waiting till the last moment to get things done, if you are habitually late and doing that running as well, it's because the adrenal system, which fuels stress hormones, it ultimately is fatiguing. And if you've ever heard the words adrenal fatigue, listen in, right? Because what that does is it forces you to work harder to get that same burst of cortisol and adrenaline that are released when the body is under pressure. And so over time, it gets more and more potent in the body, where you may find yourself chronically stressed out and actually exhausted and seeking the rush at the same time, exhausted and leaning on more and more caffeine, more coffee, more stimulants, more nootropics, while at the same time maybe investing money in adaptogenic herbs that are supposed to buffer the stress, right? But the stress is something that you're doing over and over again. And if you find yourself in this cycle, you're not alone. And the reason why I'm talking to you about this is because something I recognized in myself. And in a moment, I'll talk about some of the reasons this begins, but it's really less important that you know the origin of this habit, these habits, then you know the solution so that you can break the habits before they actually can cause incredible damage to you, causing you to potentially burn out completely, mentally and physically, as I did. Now, chronic stress rather has important health implications that you should understand. It causes inflammation, and inflammation's related to all kinds of ailments. It makes the body a heck of a lot less resilient to illness as well. In fact, it is estimated that up to 90% of doctors' visits are for stress-related ailments and complaints. So if you're chronically stressed, if you know you're burned out and you've got problems like headaches, high blood pressure, heart problems, diabetes, skin problems, you've got the pain, arthritis, asthma, depression, anxiety, All of these things are exacerbated by stress. In fact, autoimmune flare-ups, right? And well, I talk about heart attack row because heart attacks are still the leading cause of death in women. And women tend to fall into this overworking and saying yes to everything more often than men. Now, the World Health Organization has some things to say about burnout. They call it an occupational phenomenon, okay? And they define burnout as a long-term stress reaction marked by emotional exhaustion, depersonalization. This is also a marked negativity or cynicism around your work, and a real lack of personal feeling as if you have actual accomplishment. So that feeling that you should be further along than you are, that is actually a sign of burnout. And so if you are addicted to stress, ultimately it can lead to true burnout in the World Health Organization's definition, but also the physical results. It could possibly take you out of your career like it did me, right? That chronic stress that I was under, it absolutely breaks down the body. It not only breaks down the body, but it causes changes in the brain. Changes in the brain that essentially have more of the activity going on in the stress, the fight or flight, anxiety part of your mind. Your amygdala gets hijacked, okay? And less activity in your genius prefrontal cortex. This is the human mind. And ultimately, that can cause you to lose your creative genius. That's what I saw happen. Not only did I cause adrenal fatigue to the point where my thyroid took over for my adrenals, apparently, didn't even know it until I had burned out half my thyroid. But all of this was happening, and I started to experience neurological problems as well, as my hair was falling out, my muscles wasted, my heart was palpitating so bad I ended up in the ER a couple of times. There's a real physical outcome from this chronic mismanaged stress. And this is why I'm so passionate about what we do, because this is why I developed the 5-step method to accelerate business growth without burnout. It's how I bounce back. And after working with more than 500 hypnotherapy clients, I can tell you that there is a real pattern between what happened before, the underlying programs that are going on, that are running the show, and this, well, we might call it adrenaline addiction, workaholism. Ultimately, it's whatever the habits are that lead to burnout. And as I give the 5-step method, the first step is heart coherence, because, well, the leading cause of death for women is still heart attacks. And so it is the first step. You've got to neutralize the toxic biochemistry of stress daily to bounce back from burnout or avoid it altogether. But it's only the first of 5 steps. And if you haven't watched my Zero Burnout Business Growth Workshop in its entirety, you want to make sure that you do, because the methods that my clients use is incredibly potent. It's potent for helping people to break through the glass ceiling in their mind while they fiercely protect their mental and physical health. So, how do we get addicted to stress? Well, it's important to know that my philosophy is that the origin of a habit is less important than understanding that the reasons that habit, the reasons that you started overworking, I'll call it that, are likely no longer remotely interesting. They're outmoded, they're outdated, right? But I'll give you a couple of the ways that I've seen in myself or in my clients. Some people, some women in particular, they become overachievers because they had a tough childhood. And who didn't have a tough childhood? But it seems to be a higher correlation with people who have a high ACE score, which is adverse childhood experience, and this badge of being an overachiever. Okay. And as I've seen this play out, some of our most accomplished, successful women and leaders, they've got this story. They have a really dramatic, traumatic childhood. And there's a part of them that is working to literally overcome that. And so the switch got turned on. I'm going to work harder than everybody else, and I'm going to be the best. That switch got turned on at some point in the past. Never learned how to turn it off, perhaps until it's too late. Or perhaps it could be a more simple reason, something like working your tail off to feed your kids, or having lost your job and starting your business and knowing that you had to make it work no matter what. So that turning it on in the first place, you can be grateful for that part of you that turned on in the first place to possibly work in survival mode, right? To either get you out of the conditions of your childhood or to get you out of whatever conditions it were that you had to fight your way out. But regardless of what the reasons that the switch got turned on, if you're watching me, it's because you're aware that the switch being on hyper overdrive is literally killing you. It is of utmost importance that you do learn how to you learn where the off switch on is, right? So that you can literally save your own life. You can save your mind, you save your life. And learning where the off switch is the key. And breaking habits is really hard. It's far easier when you learn the 5-step method to accelerate business growth without burnout and use self-hypnosis to establish those good habits that are going to help you to make sure that your path to 6-7 figures is a healthy, happy one. And so if you think that you work better under really tight deadlines, right? When you're slammed and last minute, right? If you're late all the time, or you think you thrive under stress, know that you could be addicted to adrenaline, but it's heart attack row, terrible for you. And so I'm going to invite you to watch all of the Zero Burnout Business Growth workshop so you can learn more about my 5-step method to accelerate business growth without burnout, so that you can, join my happy clients, those clients who have learned how to break through the glass ceiling in their mind to earn more without ever burning out. So if you'd like to join that workshop, you're going to click on the links below this video to join the workshop. I'll see you on the other side.